I think Nvidia is the first $4 trillion company, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe companies like Microsoft, Amazon, maybe Apple are on their tails. I got to look up market caps to get the latest data. But basically, Nvidia is the world's first $4 trillion company, and that's huge in the sense that it really speaks to what AI is doing to the world. And what I thought would be a fun financial consciousness exercise for all of us today would be to talk about Nvidia and how they became a $4 trillion company. And actually, if you want to know what I was yapping about today in the wife beater, it was about a Wall Street Journal report that was pretty much confirming what we talked about the other day about how young college graduates are not getting jobs like they used to because white collar jobs are being wiped away through AI. Like this is happening now. One in five companies have fewer employees now than they had a year ago, which is a very big deal. Okay, so you got to get ready for that. If you don't, it's going to be hard. I think hard for those who are not prepared, and so you can't live with your head in the sand. And so what we've been doing is putting together some stuff related to artificial intelligence in the Black Business School to help you out. I know Fly Nubian Money has been doing stuff for the ladies on in the AI front. They did an AI training not long ago. They're going to do more in the near future. And so if you go to flynubianmoney.com, you can join our ladies investment club over there. Tierra Williams runs that, and they've got some really great experts in pretty much all areas of money and business and everything else. Everything from Lene Javette to Constance Carter to Tierra herself, as well as a lot of other super smart people over there. So feel free to go to flynubianmoney.com. There's a few other names I'm forgetting, but they have like a whole gang of really extraordinary black women over there that you can learn from. All right. So anyway, with that being said, I thought that I would talk about Nvidia. Yeah, so just to know, our relationship with Nvidia, a decent percentage of our family's wealth is in Nvidia, and that was really by accident. I told you all I bought it because our son mentioned that Nvidia makes chips for video games, and the stock was like $8 or $9 at the time. Now it's about 160 or something like that, and and it's just been on fire. It's been on fire. It hasn't slowed down. It's just chugging along largely because all these companies pretty much are beholden to Nvidia. They have to buy their chips from Nvidia to make these AI models. And so if you wanted to sort of get a breakdown of how Nvidia became a $4 trillion company, let's talk about that, and then we can talk about it also in the context of your next investing move. And again, I don't give investing advice here, but I'll gladly tell you what I'm doing. And I don't plan to add to my holdings of Nvidia now. I went into E-Trade. I thought about buying some more Nvidia. It just didn't feel right because I don't tend to want to buy stocks when they've had a big upswing. I keep regretting it though because Nvidia keeps proving me wrong. What I'm really waiting for is a day where Nvidia just sinks with the rest of the market, and then we can gobble up a lot of it. But the truth of the matter, now that I'm really thinking about it, is that if you're thinking about investing from a long-term perspective, then maybe it doesn't matter if you're buying an uptrend or a downtrend. So I'm going to go ahead and contradict myself just a little bit by letting you guys know right now, front and center, that I am going to buy some Nvidia. I think Nvidia is up by 2% or something right now. And so, yeah, it's up by 1.15% today. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and buy some shares. It's $165 a share. So, what I'm going to do is just throw a few in my portfolio, and then if the market gives me another buying opportunity, I'll probably add Nvidia to the portfolio at a deeper level. So let me show you Nvidia stock actually, so you can kind of see what's been happening. And what's really been going on is Nvidia's been surprising the analysts because every time they think Nvidia can't go higher or that they can't meet their earnings numbers, Nvidia meets their earnings numbers and then exceeds those numbers. So whatever the expectations are, they just exceeded. They're kind of like the Tiger Woods of stocks right now. If you remember when Tiger Woods first came out, his expectations were unbelievable. Like, everyone expected him to win every single tournament, right? Which is rare for a golfer. In case if you don't know anything about golf, golf is like this crazy thing where there's 150 people and there was one black guy named Tiger, And the odds of winning one tournament were pretty low for almost everybody, including the number one ranked player in the world. Whereas with Tiger, his expectations were so insane that literally the way people like, not like me, I'd been kind of introduced to golf, but really Tiger brought a lot of newbies into the sport. The newbies would literally say, Tiger won or Tiger lost. So if Tiger got second place or third place, which is normally amazing, right? Top five finish, they would say, "Oh, Tiger lost. He's off his game," right? So his expectations were that ridiculously high that either he won or he lost. No other players ever had expectations like that ever in the history of golf. But the crazy thing about it was around 2000, if you remember the 2001 season, Tiger literally actually exceeded those expectations. He was winning almost half of his golf tournaments, which was unprecedented. He was breaking records that had been set 250 years ago before golf was even introduced in the United States. That's how amazing he was. But that's black excellence. We black people, we do stuff like that all the time. And so basically, Nvidia's the Tiger Woods of the stock market right now because every time they think it can't do any better, it does. So here's Nvidia. Year to date, it's gone up 20% this year. That's been really good. The last month has been super strong, 16% in one month. So it's kind of made up, for its sins earlier in the year, because early in the year it was kind of struggling a little bit. The last 6 months, 24%. Last year, 30%. Last 5 years, if you bought Nvidia 5 years ago, you're insanely rich right now. If you bought more than a couple hundred shares. So Nvidia's trading 166. 5 years ago, it was trading at $11. I bought it for about $8.70, and so maybe we made an investment of about $7,000. That investment eventually was worth over $100,000, right? So, and then also there's some other areas where I invested in AI, and one of the things that I've been saying about AI is as AI is wiping away jobs, it's really important to be an investor in AI. So my favorite AI ETF is AIQ, AIQ. And in fact, actually, even as I mentioned it to you, just to show you how easy it is to just buy stock, I'm going to just buy some shares literally while I'm talking. Like I'm a terrible multitasker, but even I can sit here and say, yeah, I was talking in class, and while I was talking, I bought some more shares of stock. So I would like for you to consider this, so that we can actually have real progress in our lives as a result of us meeting every day. I don't want you just coming here to feel good or coming here to hear me talk. I don't even have a great voice. I don't have like one of those Barry White voices that sounds real sexy when I talk. I don't have a radio voice. I don't sound like the guy who used to host Soul Train. I can't talk like that, right? So even my voice is not even that great. So if you're gonna come in, don't come in just to hear my voice. Don't come in just to feel good. Don't come in just to say you came. Do something. Let's do something, right? So here's what I'm gonna do. There's a ticker AIQ, AIQ, AIQ. That's the ticker. It's the Global X Artificial Intelligence Technology ETF. It's $43.47 a share. So I'm gonna go buy me some extra shares of that sucker right now. So now I'm more deep. My family's more deeply invested in AI than it was before. AIQ has already done quite well. I'm gonna put it on the screen so you can see that it's already showing effects. And the crazy thing about AI that blows my mind is that everybody keeps saying it's the beginning. I'm listening to all these analysts, and it's really crazy hearing them talk about Nvidia and AI, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, this is the beginning. Nvidia's worth 4 trillion. There'll be 6 trillion in a few years." I'm like, $6 trillion? Shouldn't nobody be worth $6 trillion? But that's where the world is headed because robotics hasn't even hardly begun. They haven't. Hold on, I'm gonna sip my coffee before I say this. Let's take a big sip, like I'm on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Do you understand what's going to happen when they start putting AI in the robots? Do you understand? Like right now, pretty much all the AI can do is sit back and just, basically talk shit and tell you things. In 5 or 10 years, you're literally going to have these robots walking around that are smart, that are 1,000 times smarter than human beings. This is the future. This is what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. This is the future. That's going to be a multi-trillion dollar industry. So the bull case for Nvidia, the reason a lot of people love Nvidia stock and are still buying it is because they're like, oh my God, they're worth $4 trillion and they haven't even gotten to the robots. The robots, that's an economic world within itself. That's a 5, $10 trillion market by itself. And so if you've been following what you might see online is you might see in China where they got the dancing robots. I saw a robot the other day that was running and playing with kids. It looked weird. He looked like the weird kid, like the kid with the disability, like the kid that should be on the little bus. Not that there's anything wrong with the kid on the little bus. I don't want to make fun of anybody at all. So let's please let me fix that comment now. But really, that's what it looked like. It looked like one of those weird kids, but it looked like one of the kids. The robot was running with the kids. They put a little jacket on it, but it looked kind of weird. And the kids were running with the robot like it was one of the other kids. It was really crazy, like almost like the way the kids play with a dog or something like that. So robots are going to be big. Driverless cars are going to be big. That used to be the bull case for Tesla until Elon Musk decided to get a little bit too political. That's actually made people very concerned about investing heavily with Tesla. I know I pull back, I scale back some of my investments there because I worry about what the future will be for this guy. I kind of feel like I'm like, if you keep talking like that, they're going to come kill you. Or you're going to kill yourself, you know, if the rumors are true about drug use or whatever, and so you're you're a guy who might be a Nazi who uses drugs all the time, who's fighting with the president of the United States. That does not give me a prediction of a long life expectancy, to be honest with you. So Tesla has a lot of the key man risk. They call that key man risk, where if something happens to him, you immediately see a $500 billion economic loss for that company unless they can come up with some other charismatic visionary leader to take his place. Which, if I was Tesla, that's what I would do. I would totally do that. Now, somebody mentioned Uber. Uber is another company that I've invested in consistently and substantially. I believe that they're also going to be very competitive when it comes to the whole driverless car technology thing. I think that they're going to be right there in the mix. Uber is a pretty gangster company because Uber has literally been able to survive and lose like 6, 7, 8 billion dollars in a year, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And so I'll say this: I like Uber so much that I'm actually adding to my position on Uber right now. So one of you mentioned Uber in the chat, and I was like, oh yeah, Uber, that's a great company. I'm gonna buy more of that stock. So really, just a reminder of that as you're investing. The biggest thing I want to encourage you to do is don't overthink it. Stop talking yourself out of investing. A lot of people won't invest because they're afraid they're going to lose a little bit of money or something like that. But if you spend your money, you're going to lose all your money. And also, the other thing is, you're not spending money doesn't just mean you lose your money, but spending money is dead money. Investing is living money. Living money means that you have what is called optionality, meaning that the price can go up of that stock. It could go down, but it could also go up. Optionality or living money, your money's alive. That means your money's like a baby. It could grow to become a big giant. It could become a Shaquille O'Neal, right? But if you never give birth to the child, if you never feed the baby, then the baby will never grow. The baby won't exist. So basically, your money is that living baby that you need to make sure it exists so it gives you a chance to actually be wealthy. To become wealthy, you have to create a chance to be wealthy. A lot of people never become wealthy because they have no chance of being wealthy. How in the hell are you going to win the game if you're not even in it? How do you win the game if you're not even playing? If you can't win the game when you're on the sidelines watching other people play. So you got to be a player. I want seriously play a player. I need you playing. I need you in there, right? So let's make stock market investing part of our morning ritual. If you're not sure what to do, and yes, Janelle, I still love TSM. I do own TSM. That's another good idea. See, y'all just inspired me. Now I'm gonna buy some TSM now. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, by the way. TSM, that's the ticker to Taiwan Semiconductor. And yep, I'm buying me some TSM right now because that's another one of those companies that's just they're just on top of it. They don't play. They're right in the middle of AI. They're manufacturing the chips unlike anybody else. Nvidia's right in the middle of it. These companies are just they're positioned to own the future. That's why these companies are such behemoths. And now TSM is different because they've got the regional issue. Like if China decides to invade Taiwan and then the U.S. decides they want to go bomb Beijing because of that, that's going to create a lot of instability. And hopefully it won't be dangerous. But that's really the regional issue that they're dealing with right now. All right, now what I want to do is let's go back to the original point. I was mentioned to you earlier. I want to explain to you how Nvidia became a multi-trillion dollar a $4 trillion company. So you can really understand what's happening in the AI race. And those of you that really want to dig into stock market investing, I'm pretty good at it. My dissertation was written on stock market investing. So you can actually go to drboycestockmarket.com. The first month is 100% free. So feel free to go to drboycestockmarket.com to join our stock market investors club. And also tomorrow we're meeting for Prime for stock options. Last night we met with Coin, our options certification training, drboycecoin.com, COIN. Coin stands for Certified Options Investors Network. And then Prime is for those who want to generate income by selling stock options. So a lot of you are members. We're going to meet tomorrow. We're going to go through the moneymaker grid, and I'll lay out some basic strategies that can make you money by Monday. So drboyceprime.com if you're interested in that. All right, so here let's talk about how Nvidia became a $4 trillion company. First off, their AI chip dominance. Their GPUs are the best. They have the H100 and the Blackwell B200. They just pretty much became essential for a lot of AI applications, which lead to companies like Meta, Microsoft, and OpenAI spending insane amounts of money to get in that game. Now, one thing that's really fascinating about this AI race is that these companies, in my opinion, they're all very competitive, and I really believe that they're all frenemies. I believe that Nvidia is not really that friendly with Meta, even though Meta, and I believe Meta resents the fact that they have to give tens of billions of dollars every year to Nvidia. All these companies that are buying chips from Nvidia are making their own chips. And so companies like Amazon, which by the way, since we're talking about Amazon, I'm going to literally increase my investment in Amazon as we speak. Companies like Amazon, they're making their own chips. Meta making their own chips. And some of them are very serious. Like Mark Zuckerberg right now, very publicly, is poaching talent from other leading AI companies, and they claim he's paying as much as $100 million in signing bonuses, which is kind of ridiculous. I just really don't know. I mean, that the $100 million, like that's kind of like a number that you pay if you're acquiring somebody or acquiring a company or something. I mean, $100 as a signing bonus sounds kind of crazy, although there's a lot at stake, right? If you are able to be that company that pulls off artificial general intelligence because you got some super smart team that's able to do it, then yeah, that is a $1 trillion team, or that's at least a $10 billion team. So why wouldn't you pay the people on that team insane amounts of money? What does that speak to for us as black people? Well, to me, what that says is intelligent black people are going to be talking to their children about becoming AI experts. Um, College grads, most of them are not getting jobs because companies are using AI to replace lower level functionality in the organization. They're getting rid of all the busy work, and they're like, well, a robot can do that. Why would I pay you? And I know this because I know people who run companies and I know what they're talking about. And so in my view, if I'm talking to our kids, which I am, I'm telling them, I would encourage you to really become familiar with the tools of AI. And in fact, when you leave college, because you're black, you're not white. And so your network is already not what it would be if you were white. I would encourage you to learn AI, maybe start a little business where you can help business owners implement AI into their organization. That to me is a straightforward type of business that your children can create. And also, given that AI experts are getting $100 million signing bonuses from Facebook, that to me would say that if I'm in school and I'm studying something scientific, I'm studying engineering, I'm studying mathematics, I'm studying statistics, I'm studying even something like accounting. Accountants are really smart, by the way. I love my accountant. She's so smart. Um, then maybe I pivot and I gain an extreme set of capabilities as it pertains to AI agents, bots, stuff like that, like how to set these systems up. And so I learned how to use all the different platforms, N8N and Mind Studio and all these other things that are being used to create these agents. And then I go and I become one of these experts. Now, I may not get the $100 million signing bonus, which I haven't seen anybody get a bonus that big. So I'm kind of wondering if that's just a big headline number. But maybe I get a $5 million signing bonus. Maybe you get a $1 million signing bonus, right? I would argue that that becoming an expert at AI is that right now to me is the career of choice for if I'm young, if I'm trying to make myself really valuable in the job market, that's what I do. I feel sorry for all my black friends on LinkedIn who are part of the slaughter that's happening right now of white collar jobs that are being eliminated by artificial intelligence. It is absolutely insane. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's already a bloodbath. If you are in any field related to things like DEI, you've seen the bloodbath. If you have a government job, you've seen the bloodbath. Now artificial intelligence is coming. That's a triple bloodbath. So pivoting is essential. Learning additional skills is essential. Investing is essential. Again, I don't teach my kids how to make money by working for other people. First thing we're going to talk about is how you can make money by investing and then letting other people do the work. I did, again, I'm not an advocate for the rules. I didn't make the rules. I just tell you what the rules are, how the world works, and how you can make your money. So investing in these companies that are in the artificial intelligence space, in my view, is one of the most direct ways you can be a direct beneficiary of what is happening all around you. You're not supposed to be a victim of society. I would prefer you be a beneficiary of it. Okay. All right. So let's keep going here. So let's keep talking about Nvidia. And by the way, anybody who's not on the text list for this class, you can get an invitation each morning. We meet every morning at 10 a.m. You can text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. Also, just a reminder, the All Black National Convention is going to happen August 21st to the 23rd. That's our big family reunion where we get together and we're going to cover AI. We're going to talk about investing. Thousands of investors, thousands of black people doing business, thousands of black people bringing their families, and it's a big fat family reunion where black wealth is big, black love is big, black health is big, mental health, physical health, black relationships, how we're going to raise our kids to be the best. We're going to master all aspects of life. We're going to treat life like it's a class, treat life like it's a university. And so when you go into life, you don't just spend your energy learning how to get a job. You spend your energy learning how to do the job that matters the most. Your job in that factory is not as important as your job heading a household. That job in that corporate office is not as important as your job of being a father. That job that you got working for that white man's company is not as important as your job of taking care of your mental and physical health, because we know that for us, especially, if we don't do it, nobody will. Superman is not coming. But the good news is that if you are proactive in your mental health, then you will be a happier, more satisfied person. Your life will be better. The good news is that if you're proactive in your physical health, you're working out, monitoring what you eat, learning from people that can explain these things to you. We have black medical and nutritional experts in our community, right? If you do these things, then you can be healthy. You can feel good while you're making money. You won't lose all your wealth because you're up in the hospital all the time. You won't lose all your family wealth from paying for all these drugs, and you won't lose everything you've worked for by getting multiple surgeries, which leaves you bankrupt. And then you're pissed because you don't work 40 years and made yourself sick working 40 years and then gave all the money you made working those 40 years right back to the hospitals. That's the trick of capitalism. So the All Black National Convention helps you to kind of break away from that. So if you want to join us, it's in Atlanta. It's going to be the biggest convention ever. We've never had 5,000 people at a convention. Delegations for the presidents of 6 African countries are coming. The president of Tuskegee is going to be there, and lots of famous people. You'll probably see some famous people walking around. I don't want to name drop, but some pretty cool, amazing people are going to be there. So just go to allblacknationalconvention.com if you'd like to join us. Allblacknationalconvention.com. All right. So Nvidia, another reason why Nvidia is doing well is their revenue's been surging. Their revenue skyrocketed from 7.2 billion in 2023 to 44.1 billion in 2025, which is a 69% year-over-year growth rate. By focusing on AI infrastructure and software, they became kind of central to the whole AI revolution, and they've created entire ecosystems around AI. That's why Nvidia is a $4 trillion company and other companies are not. Now, if you want to look at other companies in that space that haven't had the Nvidia surge yet, Emma says drop the convention link. Okay, Emma, I'll try to drop it in there. If somebody could go to allblacknationalconvention.com and grab that link for Emma, I'd appreciate that. And just put it in the chat. That way I won't get caught multitasking and messing myself up. Because y'all know how bad I am at multitasking. When I start multitasking, I'll get distracted, and then next thing you know, you'll be like, "What is this Negro talking about again?" He was supposed to be talking about Nvidia. Now he's talking about birds that wear Air Jordans in the morning. Like that's how did you get to that, Boyce? That doesn't make any sense. All right, so here are a few stocks you may want to look at. These are stocks I own a lot of these. These are some stocks in the AI space that might be worth taking a look at. One is AMD. AMD is really trying hard. AMD is like the little brother of Nvidia, and they're kind of hating. They're kind of jealous right now. They're kind of the Scottie Pippen to Nvidia's Michael Jordan, and they're really trying to get in the game. And so they're kind of a wannabe. But they are the Solange to Nvidia's Beyonce. But there are a lot of people that believe that AMD, which I'm buying shares of AMD right now, could have a run up because what's happened is that the demand for AI has grown so much that a lot of people believe it's just going to be an industry where everybody eats, where literally even the companies that get the leftovers that Nvidia doesn't want, that these companies are going to eventually benefit. So I'm going to buy a little bit of a stake in AMD because I like AMD a lot as a company. Another great company is Broadcom. That ticker symbol. So AMD's ticker, by the way, is AMD. AMD. Broadcom also is emerging as a big player in the making of custom AI chips. So they are also expected to capture about 11% of the AI accelerated market by the year 2030. So Broadcom, AVGO might be a company to add to the portfolio. I'm not going to buy any shares of Broadcom because I'm not as inspired by that stock. But here's the one that does inspire me: Google. If you want to know who the gangster of AI is, but they walk softly and carry a big stick, it's Google, Alphabet. They now I don't know what their future holds because they've got some issues in terms of antitrust and stuff like that because they've almost gotten too powerful. But Google's just such a great organization in terms of how good they are at AI. They're just amazing. I'm buying shares of Google right now because I need to add more to the portfolio. But I'm telling you, Google Googl is the ticker symbol. Somebody type in the chat Googl. Google just impresses me because Google just sort of like they got kind of clowned after ChatGPT came out and people were like, "Oh, Google, so what are you going to do? We thought you were the ones who understood artificial intelligence." And Google was like, they were kind of like, "No, bitch. Like we've been doing this stuff since 2010." Like that's how Google's attitude was. They were like, "No, this is our territory." And so then Google tries to come in, and I know that's just me. That's what goes through my head. Like, no, biatch. Anyway, I'm so ghetto. Anyway, so Google steps out and they released their chat model, and it was garbage in a way, like because they were trying to be too politically correct. So they created a term around that called woke AI, which I don't know if y'all remember, but they asked them to draw an image of a soldier, a German soldier in World War II, and they drew like a black woman with a Nazi uniform on, right? Like they're like, no, there were no black female Nazis, right? Or they'd ask them to draw like a Viking from 1066, and it would be again, it would be like a brother, like there weren't no black Vikings, and so long story short, it just kind of it became stupid, became kind of a joke. So what happened was Google basically said, okay, you know what? Screw all of you. They cut their team, they added some smart people, they shifted a little bit. And since that time, they have been absolutely running roughshod over. They've been doing a Tupac Shakur on, and this is just the analogy that comes to mind. It reminds me of when Tupac got out of jail and released All Eyes on Me. Anybody old enough to remember that, or am I the only old man in the room? But anybody remember when Tupac got out of jail? You niggas made a mistake. You never should have put my rhymes with Dre, right? So Tupac came out and just obliterated hip hop. I mean, and Death Row Records makes me sad because Death Row Records became the Vatican of gangster rap. Like they literally were in the bird dog seat of a $1 trillion industry. They could have done whatever they wanted. Everything they spit out became a hit. And but unfortunately, bad culture destroyed Death Row. Just, you can't be trying to run a billion-dollar company and throwing people out of windows and pulling guns out on people at work and just engaged in immature. This is again, this I had that little bone to pick with immature, dysfunctional black male behavior, because that does not create power. That leads them to put you in prison. That they will come and take everything you've got. So you've got to operate with a degree of discipline. Any man, especially men, but women as well, that's in a leadership position, you've got to have some degree of sexual discipline, right? You can't say, well, because I've got money, I can go screw everybody I work with. Can't do that. You better move carefully. Again, right now, for example, I think Kanye West is being sued for sexual assault by his assistant. And after my many conversations with Kanye, the first thing Kanye said to me was something sexual. It's the minute we got on the phone, he had just met me. First thing he mentioned was something sexual. I'm not going to repeat it, but that was like, I was like, okay, are you just being relaxed with me because I'm a brother, or are you really that sloppy with it? Because I'm not going to meet somebody for the first time. The first thing I say is something about who I just had sex with, right? So my point is to say that that Death Row Records was a missed opportunity. Remember, what does the word poor stand for? The word poor stands for what? Passing over opportunities repeatedly. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. So when you talk about black wealth, and black wealth missing, black wealth going down, black wealth being stolen, first thing you got to realize is that a lot of black wealth was stolen by black people. A lot of black wealth was stolen through immature behavior. A lot of black wealth was stolen through undisciplined organizational leadership. When I heard Jermaine Dupri, Madam President, you should follow her, Madam President with a Z. She's going to be at the convention, by the way. She was speaking about Jermaine Dupri and how Jermaine said that he spent $10,000 a week at the strip club for 20 straight years. Madam President came back and said that's $10 million. She said major corporations have been started with $10 million. She said LinkedIn was started with less than $10 million. Companies like Uber and stuff like that were started with $10 million. You could have started some major organization that employs 100,000 of your people, but instead you wanted to go put your money in stripper thongs. Again, immature culture, immature black male culture. We got to really fight against that, because if you don't fight against that, if your men are running around the world acting like little boys, then guess what? The whole world's going to treat you like a little boy. I had a conversation. I'm gonna get back to Nvidia in a second, but I had to make this point. I had a conversation with three young black men who were all brothers, who were all are starting businesses together. And I said to them that one of them, they were, and their ages were very close, and they had a really close relationship with each other. They were all very smart. I said, so what you got to understand is that you're sitting on $10 million right now. Your relationship is a multi-million-dollar relationship. You just have to extract the wealth that's right in front of you. I said, so let me ask you a question. I said, are you a boy or are you a man? And they said, we're men. I said, okay, so if you're a man, then you carry yourself like a man. I said, if you are a businessman, you carry yourself as a businessman. I said, so I looked at the youngest one who was 17. I said, let me tell you a little secret. People are going to address you in the way you teach them to address you. They're going to view you in a way that is consistent with how you present yourself to them. I said, so if you present yourself like you're just a dumb teenager, like, yo, man, what up, man? I'm a YN out here, player, whatever people do, right? If you present yourself as a kid, then people are gonna be like, oh, you're just a kid. Okay, one day he'll be ready to do grown up stuff, but right now he's a kid. It's okay. Let kids be kids, right? I said, but if you present yourself as a man and you're dressed a certain way and you look people in the eye, you give a firm handshake and you say, here's my business card that my organization's called blah, blah, blah. I'm the CEO of blah, 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 right? Then people are going to say, okay, okay. All right. Well, tell me about your company. They're going to see you in a different way. Business people will say, oh, he's one of us. This is our peer. And so this is one of the cultural things. Nobody talks about this enough. I don't think people talk about it enough, but y'all know me. I got to talk about it. And I can't apologize for offending people, because a lot of the toxic hip hop culture breeds, markets, and infects in a very contagious way very immature, irresponsible black male culture. Real true story, true story. I went to an event where there are a bunch of VIP types there. One guy was the CEO of a major corporation. Another one was an executive with some company. Another one was doing multi-million-dollar deals. And we're all sitting there talking as men. We're all black men, and we're all at this event. We're all getting to know each other. This rapper walks up. He's famous. You would know his name if I told you his name, but I'm not going to tell you his name. And literally, it was like a little child had walked into a room full of grown men. It's like nigga this, nigga that, and that motherfucker this, and this, that. And he thought that because he was famous and had money, that we respected him. And all of us just sat there, and it was like you could see the IQ of the conversation drop. And at first, I engaged him for a minute, and I said, "Yeah, what's going on with you and so, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, that motherfucker, that," and he's loud and just outrageous, right? This is Dr. Claude Anderson writes about this. He talks about how historically back during slavery, go read Black Labor, White Wealth, go read Powernomics, go read Dirty Little Secrets. 200 years ago, they loved the black slave that was outrageous and loud and over the top. So you notice a lot of these black personalities that get the most money, the ones who are the biggest influencers, they don't understand that they're really participating in a minstrel show. The only way you're gonna really be recognized is if you're loud or clownish, right? So we celebrate the clown because the clown comes with money attached, which is a very dangerous idea. So this wealthy clown was sitting in there in the middle of some grown men. You know, we're all fathers, we're husbands, we're businessmen, we're builders, we're running institutions, and you come along with your little clown shit, and we're just looking at this guy, and I looked in the faces of all the other men, and everybody got quiet. We just looked at him, and it was almost like it was like an irritant, like can you please go away? And you think that you're invited to this conversation among men because you're famous, but you don't understand. We deal with famous people and we don't respect you. And I didn't say it, but that was the language, that was the body language everybody gave. The conversation just kind of shut down and everybody walked away and just kind of laughed at this guy. And so what I'm saying to you is I think it's really important that we have these conversations because your community is at war. If you don't believe you're black and at war, then just look at the way the world treats you. You're at war whether you like it or not. Whether you believe you're in a war doesn't matter because they've declared war on you. They've declared war on your children. They don't want your son to ever grow up and become a man because men are competitive. They don't want your daughter to grow up and become a safe, protected woman living the soft life. They want her to be the rugged black woman that's overcoming being a single mom and right. She need to be a strong black woman because she got to overcome all the hell that the world is going to dump on her. That's what they want. They don't want good things for your kids. Half of all black people don't even want good things for their kids. I got it out the mud. You got to get it out the mud. I ain't leaving you nothing. I'm gonna spend it all before I die. Right? That's what you've heard people talk like that. Like I'm gonna spend it all. I won't need it in heaven. But well, what about your kids? They're gonna be slaves. Like that. Why would you sign your kids up for slavery? Well, that's a slave mentality. That's something that we have to confront. We have to think about this in a structured way and look at those opportunities. I think that every single time black wealth gets annihilated, every single time we have something big and successful that disappears, every single time you have a Whitney Houston that dies from a drug overdose, every single time you have a Death Row Records that goes bankrupt, every single time you hear about an athlete that loses $100 million because he spent money on stripper thongs and fur coats, there should be an autopsy. There should be a funeral where we mourn the loss of black wealth. Here lies $1 billion empire that we're now going to put in the grave. We're now going to, we sing the church hymns like, Lord Jesus, right, right. I'm going up yonder, right? This black wealth, this $1 billion empire is now laid at rest because trifling Negroes threw the money into the garbage can, right? And then after you do have the funeral and you mourn the loss of black wealth, then you have an autopsy. You got to go and dig into the dead body and dissect it and figure out. My sister does autopsies for a living. You got to figure out the cause of death. Because if you don't figure out the cause of death, then you will never understand why the death keeps happening. You have a virus. You have you can call it the niggerosity virus if you want to, whatever, the immaturity virus, the dysfunction virus, the generational curses that are like a virus that show up and they destroy black wealth, and nobody does the autopsy to say what happened here. How do we avoid this happening in the future? Do we have an antidote? Do we have a vaccine that we can give to the kids that will protect them from this virus? And this is something that I want you to observe. This is economic consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. Awareness is sight. I want you to have your head on the swivel, and I want you to start paying attention. Whenever you see wealth and opportunity disappear, I want you to practice doing the autopsy and say, what happened here? How do I avoid this? What can we learn from this? So when you look at death row records, there should be an autopsy, because when Tupac came out of jail, this man single-handedly, I mean, this man went to the studio and sat in the studio 24 hours a day and was making one hit after another, and every single one of those hits was millions of dollars in generational wealth. How did that all get destroyed? We've got to study this. If we don't study these things, then we're always going to be confused. Now, speaking now, to show you how good I am at taking my analogies around the world and bringing it back to where I started, I compared Tupac to Google. So let's go back to artificial intelligence. So Google came out like Tupac and basically said, we're going to take over the game. They literally came out with so many innovations in such a short period of time that it was absolutely mind-boggling how much they did over that period. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they did a conference and they're like, we got this and 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 we got this. And everybody's like, ooh, 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 right? People are going crazy because Google was just blowing people away. They're like, we're not even going to take our time. We're literally just going to give you one brain explosion after another with our innovations. And so that's why I believe owning stock in Google could be a good move. Not telling you what to do. I don't give investing advice, but I bought shares of Google while we were talking because as I'm telling these things to you, I'm like, yeah, boys, let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's go buy some more of this Google stock. Google also is doing a really good job with Waymo, a company that's doing driverless cars. They're better than Elon Musk. Elon Musk talks a lot. I call him the white Diddy. Diddy was also a guy who would be blustery and loud and tell you all these things are going to happen and then they wouldn't happen. So while Elon Musk is brilliant, he's a great innovator, he also is a guy that makes promises that he doesn't keep. I don't trust his driverless cars right now. I think that he is finessing the world by basically saying, oh, yeah, you can buy a Tesla, rent it out, and while you're at work all day, it can drive people around, and then it'll pick you up from work and give you a back rub, and you know what I mean, and you can talk to it about all your problems. I don't believe that's going to happen for a long time. What I believe with Musk is that he's capable of doing quite a lot if he can calm down and stay out of all the chaos. I don't know if he's going to live that long, to be honest with you. I don't know why, but I have a funny feeling. But I kind of feel like Tesla could be a place to put some money. But I think Google and Waymo is a much more stable investment because they're doing it the right way. They're doing it very carefully. And once they finish rolling Waymo out across the country, maybe across the world, I think it's going to be pretty massive. And that's just one of many things that Google is doing. I think Google is one of the best in the AI space. So Google, in my view, is a company that's worth taking a look at. But also, if you buy AIQ, that AI ETF that I mentioned earlier, that ETF, I believe, has shares in Google right now. So you can buy that and still get a piece of Google. So you don't have to actually buy them separately. I just did it because I just happened to have some money sitting there and I was like, oh, let me just deploy it. Okay. Remember, money is not something that's meant to be spent. Money is something that's meant to be preserved, and money is meant to be grown. Spending is something you do when you have to do it. The rest of the time, you're preserving the wealth, you're growing the wealth, you're deploying the wealth. You're sending your money out there into the world so that it can do the work for you. And the goal of every black family in America should be that I'm gonna allow my children to work if they want to until they get to the point where they don't have to work anymore and the money's doing all the work for them. That's why when you talk about making money, I'm not really gonna talk to the kids about jobs and careers. I'm a bonus dad. I let other people talk to them about jobs and careers. I say, I don't think you should define yourself by what job you have anyway. I think you should be happy. I want you to be happy. Money will make you happy because it will give you security and it'll give you the day off work and it'll allow you to live the soft life and do whatever you want. So let's figure out how to get you some money so that the money can do all the labor and you can do you can do the chilling on the beach, or you can do the things that you're passionate about. That should be, in my opinion, the goal of life. And if that sounds like pie in the sky, if that sounds too abstract, or if that sounds too distant from the realities that we were raised on, I just want to go back to something I mentioned to you all before that I called the $5,000 problem. Anybody remember the $5,000 problem? If you solve the $5,000 problem, then you're free. You're off the plantation. The $5,000 problem is, can you find some way to make $5,000 a month and still stay at home without having to go to work every day? Right? That might start with working from home. It might start with investments. A lot of you sell stock options and you make $5,000 a week. We have students in Prime that are making $10,000 a week selling options. I know this because I've met with hundreds of you, and I see what you're doing. So there's money out here. There's opportunities out here. Learn all the opportunities. Teach all those opportunities to the kids so they don't ever feel stuck. The worst feeling in the world is to be stuck without options. That's not what you want. That's not what I want for you, and that's not what I want for your family. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna head on out, guys. By the way, if you want to get a copy of my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, you can go to drboycebooks.com. Go to drboycebooks.com, and you can take a look at that. We also have financial flashcards and workbooks for kids. If you haven't taken a look at those, that's also at drboycebooks.com. My wife, who's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, she runs our Black Financial Therapy Department. She's got resources there in terms of financial anxiety, stuff like that, because you heal the trauma. That'll help you heal your wealth. So she's certified in trauma, actually. So we undiagnosed, untreated trauma is one of the greatest barriers to Black wealth that exists, and also a great barrier to Black families. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com and take a look. And if you're not on the text list for the class, just text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948, and I will send you an invitation. So God bless you. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Bingham. I see Dr. Bingham's in there schooling people on the stock option stuff. It, it's really a lot of fun. I would encourage you to explore it. I think you're going to like what you see. I believe that. So if you want to join us tomorrow for our options class, you can go to drboyceprime.com. That's drboyceprime.com. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you all in the morning.